Now, weirdly, the Japanese were first to the EV market with the Nissan Leaf, but then they've kind of backed off. The Leaf went through 2 generations, big success, but not a lot came out from that market that's been so heavily into hybrid vehicles. But they're starting to come back. We've seen the Nissan Ariya, the Toyota BZ4X, and now Honda is joining the frame with what is technically their second EV, but really their first for major export markets with the EN1. Let's go take a look. Right, so let's take a real look around the car. Now, it is a CCS Type 2 port. It isn't the fastest when it comes to DC charging, about 75 kilowatts, but you do get 11 kilowatt AC. Now, the battery itself, it's 68 kilowatts nominal. We got a nice little flashing indicator there. 68 kilowatts nominal, but about 61 kilowatt hours usable. So, you know, but kind of with the other small to medium SUVs that peak out around that 60 kilowatt, 61 kilowatt hour mark. But kind of alongside those existing small to medium Chinese SUVs that peak out at about that 60 kilowatt hour mark. We'll talk about range when we're driving. Let's walk around the side. We have these nice looking 18-inch wheels there. We have wing mirrors, no 360-degree cameras like a lot of the competition. Bit of piano black along the side here. Normal door mirrors with automatic locking. It does like to beep at you once you've done that. When you get to the back door, you get this interesting side handle, which I don't dislike the look of, and it works okay, but I've noticed my 5-year-old daughter struggles to reach and use it. And then if we come around to the back here, we have this interesting layout of Honda along the back, Evolve badging, EN1 badging. Now, if we open the boot here, it's not electric, so that is something that the Chinese competition do get. The boot's reasonable, 350 litres, about 1160 with the seats down. They split 60-40. We've put a small suitcase in here so you get an idea. Under the floor, there is more storage space. I don't know if they're suggesting you put your fresh food down there, but that is there. Or you can choose to have that load floor at the lower level for maximum capacity. And you have tethers for 2 seats in the back. I think you've got ISOFIX in the back seat too. We'll have a look again. You've got a light over there. No vehicle to load ports, no power ports in the back. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Now, if we go check out the back seat, we start seeing the interior. We got this really nice quality plastics. They're not particularly hard, not particularly soft, but a soft touch around there. It feels really well built, but just maybe in the cheaper material side. But I think it is pretty good quality. A little bit of a cup holder, bottle holder there in the door. Inside, the carpets themselves, they're pretty basic, not particularly fluffy or anything like that. No seat pocket behind the driver's seat, but you do get one on the passenger side. You get air vents for the back, and you get 2 USB-C ports down here. And do I fit? Now, I've got the front seat set for Richard. And the answer is yes. Plenty of back seat space back here for me. The headrest, I think, if I put up, that's better. That is a really comfortable back seat. Quite a nice rake on it. Close the door. Yeah, plenty of space. Pretty comfy, good, lots of headroom. I think I'm starting to like cars without glass roofs because you just get so much more space in the back. Notice there's a little bit of mood lighting in the rear here as well. Super comfortable. Anything else to look at? Grab handle. This is a bit annoying. There is a center seat belt when it comes down from the ceiling, which means you've kind of got it there in the middle. You can take that away. I was a little bit worried about the back seat initially when I looked at it, but actually, this is not bad. Let's go look in the front. Okay, let's look in the front of the EN1. Now here we have a fairly simple interior, but one that I actually quite like. We have this, I feel almost kind of retro-inspired Honda steering wheel here. We have a reasonable sized screen there in front of the driver with all the key basic details. Power button over here, controls for things like the plug port and parking sensors ESC over there. In the center we have this 15-inch vertical screen, CarPlay at the top or Android Auto, wireless of course, with kind of your vehicle controls and your heating and cooling in the middle, dual zone climate control, but no heated seats. Down here we have power and a wireless charger, and then the transmission shifter here is using buttons. And in the middle, we have a drive mode selector and the auto brake hold, and a couple of really deep cup holders. What's not deep is the center console, pretty small. But we do have a glove box over there, and we have vents either side of either side. And the seat there. Now the passenger seat is manual, this driver's seat is electric. I do like these little dials here. These are for changing the ventilation. Easy to use, easy to grab, really logical. No engagement needed. Now we have kind of your key controls in the steering wheel here. That's the button for the really good lane centering and the adaptive cruise control stuff there. Over here we have volume and stereo details. Handy to have, and you can also switch through your consumption and that kind of stuff there. Really, really comfortable sits. You sit nice and tall in the car. I like them. They work really well. Interestingly, you can tell I think this car comes from a platform that is shared with non-EV vehicles. You've got this kind of weird floor pan, which is clearly making room for the battery. And also the battery hangs down a little bit from underneath the car. Right, that's the interior. It's starting to rain. Let's go for a drive. Right, so it's now pissing down here, so we're off for a drive. Unfortunately, it means that I can't do any outdoor footage or drone footage of the car, so cue some very nice B-roll of this car driving from somewhere overseas in the Honda Empire. Anyway, let's get away. Now, we have these buttons down here. Now, I don't mind them, but the drive button is fine. The neutral button, park button is fine. The reverse button, I have a habit of going and pulling that when I want to go into drive. I don't know why. It's just compared to, you pull back to go into drive, and that's kind of pull back to go into reverse. Just a little thing, I'm not sure why. You've got your drive mode button here, sport, normal, and eco. They do make a reasonable difference to the power and performance of the car. Handy to have. Anyway, let's hit this and get underway. So what are we looking at from a drivetrain perspective? Well, the Honda is front-wheel drive, weighs about 1,660 kg, so not too heavy for an EV. Power is reasonable, 160 kilowatts and 310 newton meters of torque. Pretty much bang on the money for the class. This car is on the lighter side though compared to its competitors, so performance actually feels pretty good. The 0 to 100 is about 7 seconds. Overall, it's pretty sprightly, and I will say that the tires they put on this car feel really good, and that's a bonus I think Honda has over some of the brands that are going for more of a budget offering out there. Even in this wet weather, I drove down from home to Auckland, 100 kilometers in the dark, wet. I felt really confident on these tires, which is great. So yeah, performance is good. I really like the driving position in this car. I'm a big guy, but you sit nicely upright, but good distance to the floor. The steering wheel, you've got reach and tilt adjust. It comes out to a nice level. You've got pedals that are really easy to reach for regen varying. You've got 3 stages of that. You don't have a one-pedal drive system, but to be honest, I'm not a giant fan, and people are finding one pedals aren't actually that efficient. If we speak about efficiency with this car, that is one area that does let it down. I'm not sure it's going to be a killer for many people. I've been driving it reasonably briskly, but I've also been hitting about 20 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. Now, I suspect I could get that down to 16, 17 if I tried, but it's certainly not down there with the efficiency of, say, some of the Hyundai Kia product. It just is a little bit thirstier on the energy, which is a little bit of a downside. But it also has that reasonably big battery. WLTP, it's about 410 kilometers of range. I think it's, like so many of these things, good for a solid 330 to 350 in mixed New Zealand conditions. So yeah, handy from that perspective. And that the econ system can really get you a lot further if you really want to. You have on the screen in front of you the option to have that economy up there. You've got indicators there for your cruise and lane keeping systems. You have a power and charge meter, all the usual standard stuff. You get battery in percentage and kilometer, which I prefer. I always like to know the percentage. Why is that? Well, the car could be guessing how much range you've got left, and often it'll just give up guessing when you get close to the edge. But if you've got the percentage there, if you know roughly how many kilometers your car can do per percent, you really can plan your trip and your usage a lot better. So that is helpful. Now, another little thing I'm not entirely cool with in this car is the sounds. And I don't mean the stereo. The stereo is great. What I mean is the car itself. So it does do the usual car thing of providing beeps and bongs to let pedestrians know that it's there. As a friend said the other day, it was singing to them. Which it does, but you probably heard that when we left the car park, actually. So it does that, but also the drivetrain itself. There is a little bit of a whine, and I just wonder if Honda needs to, when all cars have this, you can't making an entirely silent gearbox is pretty difficult. But I wonder if Honda maybe need to put a little more time into just NVH around that drivetrain unit, maybe a little more insulation under the bonnet area. That would be helpful as well. It's not a bad thing. I don't think the car's broken. I think it's just a little bit of refinement that could be done to the car as we go. But I want to talk about something that doesn't always come up with these vehicles, and that is X Factor. And while some people will disagree with me, I actually think this car is really cool. I had a friend who drives a big SUV or big minivan the other day, and he said he thought this car looked cool and cute. And I kind of agree. It's got a really classy, different look. And inside, as simple as this interior looks, I actually really like it too, because I feel in things like the steering wheel, the central hub on the steering wheel, a few little details around the car, I feel like it subtly nods to some older Hondas, back the old Honda-matic. I know I may be stretching there, but I see it, I feel it. I don't care if no one else does. I really like some of the detail work in this car, and good on you, Honda, for doing it. And maybe you weren't intending to do it, and maybe I'm reading far too much into it, in which case, just take the win. Now, we are just driving through the city at the moment, so I'm sure you can't really tell much, but maybe there was more B-roll of the car going through a twisty road. I have driven it on some great twisty roads. And you know what? It's not bad. It feels more composed, more stable on the road than the BYD Atto 3. Probably a little more comfortable on the open road than the EV3 because it has a real city focus. But in the city, it feels pretty good as well. You've got decent sight lines. The steering is quick, but not too quick. I would suggest the ride maybe sometimes is just a tiny bit firm, but not in a way that's bad. It's just a really all-round, well-sorted car. And I guess that's what Honda's known for. I mean, it's very rare that Honda puts out a car that's groundbreaking. I'm not trying to be mean here, but generally, they do like to play middle of the road, but they do middle of the road really well, and that is evidenced in this car. So who is this car for? Look, I don't think you're going to go and catch that many EV nerds rushing out to buy a Honda EN1. There are too many other whiz-bang gadgets and other desirable things out there. But you know what? My mother-in-law would. The mother-in-law test, I think, is an important one. I think traditional Honda buyers who just love the practicality, the ease of use, the quality of what they get in a Honda are going to be really attracted to this car. And those people who want a car that just works, it's not too complicated. The buttons are where you'd expect it in a normal car. There's really little extra to do. I think it's really going to appeal from that perspective. I also think it'll really appeal to fleets. It's simple. There's no extra stuff here. It's got a great warranty. Honda has a great dealer network. I think they're going to be into this car as well. What's not so good? Well, as I said before, that NVH, that noise from the drivetrain, a little bit unappealing, but I think people get used to that, certainly when you turn on the radio or get up to beyond 30 kilometers an hour. That really is gone. And that charging speed, look, this is going to be more of a city car. Doing long road trips with that level of charging speed is going to take a bit longer. So perhaps if you're a road ranger, you do 100 kilometers, hundreds of kilometers per weekend, this might not be the car for you. With Now let's talk about the price of the car. It is $52,000 and Honda charge you about $1,000, $995 to be specific, of on-road costs with that. But they have a few deals going. You can lease one from $945 a month plus GST, or finance from just $228 a week. Handy consumer information there from Honda. You can order them now. We've been ordering them since May 15th. Warranty-wise, you get 8 years on the battery, 5 years on the car. So overall, a pretty appealing package. You know, it's not as cheap as the Chinese, but it's necessarily, but I think for what you get, it's not bad. And sure, it may not have as many of the whiz-bang features, but you're getting value, you're getting something that people are used to, and I think that is going to appeal to people who, for maybe a new Chinese brand or a car with lots more screens, lots more features, apps, all that kind of stuff, might be a little bit scary. I think overall this is a really good little car. I also think appeal to fleets. Anyway, thanks for watching. Sorry for the short video and the slightly terrible weather, but that's Auckland for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great videos later on.